Hey guys, welcome to Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds. I'm Ted with my esteemed colleagues.
Ryan.
Dave.
Nate.
And today we're going to talk about the villainous options in the Dungeon Master's Guide.
Yeah.
We've got the Death Domain, and we've got the Oathbreaker.
Rank villainy, because dead things smell kind of rank. So, yeah.
So we read through it. What do you guys think?
I would actually allow players to use these options if they wanted to. I mean, I don't know that I want a whole party of evil characters, but every once in a while you get that one oddball cleric that wants to have the death domain, and they're like, I'm not evil, I just like dead things.
Well, I mean, some religions don't deal with death that aren't actually evil. Like, technically, like most religions have death rights, and like somebody's got to specialize in that. So.
Well, we've
So you specialized in that specialization.
Yeah.
over the years, we've had a number of entirely evil games, and they never seem to go well. Maybe other DMs out there can plan it and run it better or what, but ours just seem to go bad.
Well, I mean, here's the problem with evil is it usually turns in on itself. Like, thematically, in every piece of literature, that's what happens. So really, having an evil campaign that disintegrates, turns in on itself, is true to form.
It's
like
success.
really, it's a success, really, if people are at each other's throats.
I would agree. So if you've got a game of, like, say, 4 to 6 players, and 1 to 2 of them are slightly shady or really shady, it's
morally questionable.
It's very easy to slip one of these things in there. We've seen paladins that say, oh, well, it's an orc, therefore orcs are evil and I have to kill it. And that's still a good character, it's just his viewpoint. Whether we would allow something like that today, I don't know, but back then that was just, that's the way he looked.
Well, I mean, it's creating a character with flaws. Yeah, he's lawful good, but he's a fucking bigot. And that's a character with flaws. That's not necessarily a villain. Like, these guys, death, it could just be a cleric that, that's just an aspect that he reveres. But, the Oathbreaker or anti-paladin, he is committed to evil, like this guy.
Yeah. On the villain scheme, there's a really good one I think could work for a character that doesn't consider himself evil but gets pushed in that direction. The passions are a good one. Prolong the life of a loved one, or proof worthy of another person's love, raise or restore a dead loved one, or destroy rivals for another person's affection. I mean, the last one's really self-centered, and the other ones are in a way, but it's kind of that I'm doing this for this other person.
The greater good. I mean,
that's my entire world. Yeah, there's this importance that I need to accomplish and screw everything else. And if he was a paladin beforehand, well, now he's an Oathbreaker because he's just dropped his duty and whatever else he's got, and he's going to go do this quest of his.
I look at the Oathbreaker as something that I've played characters where I've consulted with the DM and said, look, I want to take this character on this story arc. He was going to start off at this alignment. He's going to end at this alignment. So the things that happen in the story need to push him, make him make those changes. So you could say, all right, I want to play a paladin who's going to start off, and this is what goes on.
Well, no one starts off to be evil. I mean, look at Anakin Skywalker. He wanted to be a great Jedi, and he ended up being Darth Vader instead.
So if you consult with your DM and say, look, I have this idea for a character. You don't have to be this chaotic evil character who plays an Oathbreaker. You could be someone that has just had so many things set up against you, and it could be your plan or the DM's plan,
or your perception
that gets you there. It's like, oh well, you know what? I have to go do this mission, and something happens along that mission, and you commit an act of evil or you break your oath, and you do that too many times, and you're kicked out of your order.
Well, going back to the evil party, the biggest problem with evil characters is they end up being a caricature of evil. They don't.
Well, there's a spectrum. Wait. There's a spectrum of evil. So you have the people that are committed to evil as to an end. Itself. It's a cause.
Chopping off the heads of
because you have to please a dark lord or a demon lord or whatever. And then there's the people that are just self-centered.
Yeah, but I find that
those are the most violent swings of you have the self-centered evil, and then you have you got basically neutral me, and then you have just like, I do evil for evil's sake because I need to appease this dark master.
Or you're effing crazy.
Right, or effing crazy falls.
And
somewhere
I think
too.
the problem with evil campaigning is that it's kind of like, all right, we get to do this.
Finally.
Yeah.
Finally,
Well, that's
I can
where
be
you-
the
I'm
most
talking about-
dastardly bastard ever.
That's where you end up with all the characters of an evil character. They're not true characteristics of anyone. So they all end up being sociopaths, which doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
Well, I've been in evil games, and like I've never done the totally off the wall bonkers evil. I've done the guys who tend to walk that line, are the ones that's like, you know what, I want to be a thief, or I want to be a murderer. You don't need to be.
Well, here's the thing though. I feel like to be evil and not just neutral, to be evil, you have to be willing to cross certain lines that any other person would not. So like,
But you don't do it just because.
No, you don't do it just because.
Yeah, that's
but like, I mean, to get into like dark real world stuff, like if your character like lusts after someone, they would be okay with raping them, and they're not just doing it just because it's to fulfill a need, but like that's crossing a line that a neutral or good character would never do.
right.
Killing somebody for their money.
Yeah, that's evil. That is crossing the line. And like, well, a neutral character might do the whole like highway bandit, like stand and deliver, give me your money, I'll spare your life type of thing. And the neutral character, if they put up a fight, may ultimately kill them if he has to, but he would never if they're just going to park with their
But the
goods.
evil character may be like, I don't leave any witnesses.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
So like
Sorry,
right here to the throat. Yeah.
And we had a friend do an evil game, and at like first through third level, we were destroying a village of elves, and I know you had made some comments. Normally the GM does outstanding stuff, and you there's no way you would allow something like that to happen. There'd be too much stuff arrayed against us that we would possibly be able to survive.
Well, and that's the problem. Like, think about it from, from the other side of the table, where you end up, the paladins are going to show up, the adventuring party is going to show up, the militia is going to show up.
Well, no. Here's a good like microcosm of that to give you an idea. Like as a GM, like a lot of people have played the Baldur's Gate franchise. When you start committing just heinous, reckless acts of violence, like forces start showing up. They keep showing up, and they just keep getting bigger and bigger. Something like that's going to happen, but eventually worse. Where like the highest level NPCs. Like the Drizzits of the world, the Elminsters, are like, no, you are a menace to society, and I'm going to smite you.
Oh, in Johnny's evil campaign, we were all epic level evil guys. I was a beholder archmage, and I opened a gate to the abyss, and that you're on our radar now. The super uber heroic epic people are coming to kill you and everybody around you because you did something really terrible, like open a gate to hell.
The tsunami alarm went off.
In town.
The equivalent.
Yeah.
So everybody saw.
All right. So the villainous options.
So let's
Do we wanna-
start.
Yeah, we did a lot of talking of villainy, but let's talk about villainous options.
Cleric, Death Domain. First level, bonus proficiency, martial weapons. Meh.
Yeah, I generally don't want to hit shit. Although a lot of their abilities are sort of tied to weapons and going up and hitting
See,
stuff.
I look at that and I look at it as like, all right, you combine the death domain with either the war domain or you only get one in this edition, right?
Yeah, you only get one domain.
All right, so all right, it's not too crazy because I'm like, oh well, you do this and this, and now you've got heavy armor and.
No, it's only you're only getting a martial weapon proficiency.
This death domain cleric is not. I mean, in optimal terms, is not the sagey sort of death cleric. He's the militant martial. I cause death and mayhem.
Yes.
Because you go with the heaviest armor.
Yeah,
you hit shit because I mean, we'll go through the level by level, but it's clearly like I go up and I fight.
Right.
Well, I mean, they have basically all the necromantic offensive stuff in addition to.
Well, just false life and
Animate
hit point
dead.
bump. You get your armor pretty decently up as much as you can.
Obviously, of course, animate dead.
Of course.
Yeah.
But their Reaper ability is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Cantrip from any spell list of the Necromancer School. Love that.
Yeah.
It's very thematic. And not only that, it's better than the original cantrip because you get to affect two things within 5 feet of each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is fairly sweet.
Yeah, that's so
They
awesome.
eventually get that with other spells as well.
When a cleric, their channel divinity, when a cleric hits creatures with a melee attack, cleric can channel divinity to deal extra necrotic damage to the target. which goes back to what you were saying, Ryan. Damage equals 5 plus twice his or her cleric level. So it's almost like the opposite of the devotion paladins.
That's second level.
Yeah.
So that's plus 9 damage minimum.
Yeah. Well, but you have to channel for that.
Yeah,
Right,
you
yeah,
gotta limit
yeah.
the number times day. Although they're still pretty negative.
Well,
Like I feel like they're a little
so
more
when
skewed
you're
to be
like
more
18th
powerful
level, you
than
can slam
PCs.
somebody for like 50 necrotic damage.
Yeah.
Something like
Almost like 40 something necrotic
Yeah.
damage.
Yeah,
That's
like
a
this
lot.
guy
It
is a
actually
warlord.
ends up being more than that because as they go up in level, they get more.
extra beating
Yeah.
powers.
Whoa.
They're so entrenched in necromancy they ignore necrotic
Resistance. Yeah. 8th level, they get a little bit of the paladin feel with being able to do a D8 necromantic damage that goes up to 2d8.
Well, that goes back to the lazy, the lazy domain ability that a lot of domains give.
Oh, really?
We're just
Yeah.
gonna add a D8 damage.
Said type.
But I mean, this one makes sense because like stealing a life force, this I think actually thematically fits. Like anytime like you're draining life essence of something.
Yeah.
Like I
Wait,
mean,
does it say melee weapon attack?
his weapon weapon strike. So you could use a range. You could use a range weapon with
All
that.
right, so like with it being a caster, clerics are very much they're designed more for I'm going to attack and I use my my spells for these odd situations. So I think the death domain mixed with say a necromancer wizard, you have some serious
Yeah, but
undead.
this is why they get the martial weapon proficiency.
The scythe.
It's the scythe.
Yeah.
Exactly. You can be the black robed scythe wielding, and now it really, really hurts when they hit you with it.
Yeah.
They're cleaving your life force, not just your flesh.
So it's definitely doable, but I mean, I could see the if you want to have in your campaign world a like the guardians of death, so to speak, or you could have somebody be a good aligned creature
Or
neutral who just this is their job. They serve a deity that's not evil, and they're just charged with the powers of death. And maybe they hunt criminals, maybe they go off and
bring death to the people that have skipped out on it. Like they bring down liches and stuff like that.
Or they bring they could totally fight undead and use the undead to fight them. Or they could be okay. Well, you know what? I'm the bastion between the monsters that are outside and
Well, I totally like the idea of reclaiming lost souls,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that those lost souls would technically be undead, which normally would be resistant to necrotic damage, but not from these guys.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you could totally have a death domain cleric and not have to be I am evil.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, I
Although
think,
it's more fun.
Well, I mean,
and I mean, if we're looking at resisting that urge of playing the evil character, that's a way. If you've got DMs out there, and I know that there are because I'm here. I don't like running evil games. I don't like having loads of evil players at the table. I like heroes. I like hero games. It's that strive to do the champions of justice. And here's a way to have. Well, here's this evil power set. Well, how do I incorporate that into a hero?
Yeah, even Pathfinder had a deity called Pharasma, which so it was like a deity of like water, fate, death, like basically being that sort of like Anubis type figure that was of a lawful neutral. Like she was concerned with like sort of passage through natural stages of like life and death, basically. So like that that would be the militant arm of Pharasma. It's like you skipped out on your fate. Well, I'm here to give the Reaper its due, kind of deal. So. Yeah, so that's we've got that pretty well covered. Let's
Well,
see.
their 17th level ability,
Yeah.
which you mentioned, was basically that single necrotic spell, Finger of Death. You can do. you can hit
First
two.
through fifth.
Yeah, I'm not sure what level. It might be.
No, so when the cleric casts a necro spell first through fifth, that targets only one creature. They get two. So up to fifth level. I mean, what does the Finger of Death spell fall under?
I'm not sure. Somewhere between 5 and 7.
Yeah,
I'm not positive.
I'll look it up.
But that
Talk
would
about
be
it.
so sweet that
It's double Finger of Death.
Yeah.
Double finger.
Yeah.
Which is easily.
Or you have to be a sorcerer and twin spell that shit.
Oh man. Bind head explosion.
Breaking. So
So you could quad spell it then, basically. No, you can only do it once. So you can hit 3 targets maybe.
But you have to be 17th level in the Cleric Death.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, basically 3 levels of sorcerer will give you your meta magic.
Yeah,
gonna-
but
you're
you
not
don't
gonna
have enough
get
points.
Yeah.
Can you see? Would you have to?
No, you
stack
can.
down?
Then you can burn spells. to
You,
do it.
you still have a maximum of whatever your thing is.
Oh, you can't.
They,
Wow.
yeah, they saw you coming, Ryan.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, you're. All right. So, all right. Do we want to move on to Oathbreaker?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan can fill
And
us in.
Finger of Death, 7th level, so that would not happen.
Curse you!
You cannot double
Mats!
finger.
Tier.
Tear go.
No
Try for
quadruple,
me, Argentina.
No quadruple affecting your finger of death.
Yeah, you just have to be a sorcerer and figure out how to obtain that spell.
Yeah, well, hopefully when they come out with more Sorcerer's Bloodlines, they'll, because like Pathfinder did a great job of creating all these great bloodlines. Like they had one on Death, they had one.
Yeah, I
Death,
think
I'm
Watts
sure
is going to
you'll-
return the favor.
Yeah, you'll see all that stuff come out.
All right. So Oathbreaker. I've neglected my duties as a paladin, and now what happens to me?
Or maybe you just started out as
that's
I
definitely
like evil shit.
Anti-paladin.
Yeah.
See, I don't know. Unless you've got a good backstory to go with it. I just it's like.
Not for an NPC. Why?
Oh, sorry. For an NPC, you can do whatever the heck you want.
That's right, man.
Oh.
Lord Soth, brother. Yeah, he's a Death Knight, but I think he probably was
I mean,
going down that road.
and you even look at if you look at historical examples of Nazi Germany, you had people that drank the Kool-Aid, the idea, I'm going to plan the extermination of an entire race of people. You needed people willing to carry that out. You could have an Oathbreaker in real life, somebody that's blatantly committed to evil.
Yeah, they either pursue some dark ambition or
That's true.
are-
The
or
name
serve an
Oathbreaker
evil
doesn't
power.
necessarily have to mean that you made an oath and you broke it.
I mean, in 3rd edition, they introduced the Paladin for all the evil alignments anyway.
Yeah.
So-
And also too, the way they've made Paladin that you can be a Paladin with any alignment. I would just say he didn't break an oath. He's just committed to evil. The Dark Knight kind of character.
Now, I think the actual Oathbreaker is kind of weak in comparison.
To some of the other builds of the Paladin.
I don't
Yeah,
know. I think it's got some definite flair to it.
it's got flair, but a lot of their abilities is I affect one thing.
Yeah, well, it's
Well,
like
I
the
mean-
Avenging Paladin, basically, in that
Like-
regard.
The Avenging Paladin does have that I affect one thing, so this isn't all that much different. It's just it's got some different abilities that go off of that I'm evil.
Well, specifically their channel divinity, control undead. They get one that'll obey them for the next 24 hours, unless they use it on someone else, on another undead.
Right.
So that's you get your one.
Well, basically, it gives you a lackey for a day. You get an undead servitor,
So
which
I mean, if you're going to use it on a freaking skeleton or a zombie, it's a bad choice. But I mean, if you use it on something that's really badass, you got a sweet minion to use.
as long as it doesn't make it safe.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're.
I mean, the only good thing is they don't get to repeat the saving throw, and you're also limited by an undead whose challenge rating is equal to or greater than Paladin's level is immune to this effect. So as you go up, you can actually get a fairly sweet lackey, and every day you just got to be. But they get.
Basically, then you put them in some sort of barrier that they can't get at you, and then you just keep controlling them until they fail. All right, the rest. You put them in a cage or something that they can't get out of, and you command them to go there, and then you just keep using your ability until you got them.
Maybe.
Or then it's like an intelligent undead that bluffs you.
Yeah.
And then it's I'm totally banging in your face.
Yeah, you can let me out of here.
That would be a really
I'll
good
do whatever you
storyline.
want.
That
Right
could be like a
after
Raven Loft.
I dig on their aura of hate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, wait. The dreadful aspect is kind of. I mean, it's not the most powerful thing to do a wave of fear in a radius. Radius effects are always kind of
And
nice.
that builds on their other ability later.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I mean, just to make people go away, because that fear effect, you could dismantle a party with that. If enough people fail, I just have to worry about you. All right, dead. You might not.
Finger of death.
Yeah. So and then we do have the Aura of Hate, which it's getting the bonus to damage. It's almost like the Avenging Paladin's ability, but yeah.
Well, they all get a different kind of aura, so it's staying with that. But this one, although this one is very specific, fiends and undead, which is fine for your NPC because what are you going to put with their anti-paladin anyway?
Yeah.
But if it was a player character option, then maybe not as useful unless you manage to get a ghoul or something that follow you around.
Right, yeah, you get a servitor.
Give it a little bump.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that'd be really nice.
They're supernatural resistance, 15th level. Again, it's a decent ability, but I find it kind of meh. It's thematic.
I agree. I felt that was a fairly weak ability. It's like, oh, look at that, I can not take a little bit of damage.
Yeah, well, I mean, you would have to roleplay the reasons out or whatever, because as an Oathbreaker, you're bound to some power probably. So maybe it's giving you a magical influence, like a demon or something.
But then again, right? It's a 15th level ability.
Yeah.
Non-magic.
As an NPC, how useful is this really?
Well, let me ask you this question: would it stack with Heavy Armor Master?
Probably would,
Yeah.
because this is before the damage even happens. So
Yeah.
I would. Because then that gets kind of nasty.
So that if you have
No,
two,
it doesn't, because it's a 15th level. It's a 15th level
It's
threat.
it's non-magic weapons, is what it says.
Well,
Yeah.
but here's the thing. It depends really what it comes down to is how scarce are magic items in your campaign.
I believe at this point there's a bunch of
You gotta
class
leave
abilities
swords.
that give you magic
weapons.
Uh,
Monk can punch this guy all day,
druid.
right?
So I'm not the sorcerer, the warlock.
Warlock, yeah.
What the warlock does, the druid,
Monk.
the monk.
Well, you know what this does? This sets up for. This sets this guy up to run roughshod over the common citizens.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
he could,
Like,
he could throw
but
trash an entire
that's
town
the
by
thing. Like
himself
this
with
guy
one
goes
spell.
into a village and just freaking raises it because nobody can even harm him.
My point is, as an NPC at that challenge level, this ability almost
Dude,
doesn't
but
exist.
how many shit abilities are in the PC raises or the player characters classes? They're like, really? That's an 18th level ability? That's a 20th level ability? That's a 10th. Like, there are so many shit abilities that come up that I can look past it for all the other cool thematic stuff that it gets.
But my point is, it's far more useful for a player than it is
As
for
an
an
NPC.
Well, for the NPC, yeah,
Well,
you got that.
I mean, is this section designed more for use as an NPC, or is it supposed to be? It says it's
NPCs.
class options.
NPC.
No, it's NPCs, dude.
You-
It's the first sentence is something to create NPCs with classes
You
and
can
levels.
use the rules in the player's handbook to create NPCs with classes and levels the same way you can create player characters. The class options below let you create two specific villainous archetypes, the evil high priest and the evil knight or anti-paladin. The death domain is an additional domain choice for evil clerics, and the Oathbreaker offers an alternative path for paladins who fall from grace. A player can choose one of these options with the approval.
So it's got to, I read that, I interpret.
Or
it
Dave's reads
as-
that
as a-
actually, and we'll.
I interpret it as a 50-50. Yes, it's designed as an NPC, situation, but it's just as equally designed as, look here.
Yeah,
here's-
they
here's
balanced
your
it
players.
for player characters.
Yeah, except for when your GM says no, I don't want that.
Well, absolutely.
So-
and that's exactly what it is. It's not in the player's handbook. It's in the Dungeon Master's Guide. So it's a 50-50 situation. If you're playing this as a paladin, you stack on the heavy armor master to go on top of that. You can wade through loads of junk troops without needing to fear about damage, and you are a terrifying monster. But at the same time, if you're actually up against a party of adventurers and you're an NPC, it's going to be absolutely meaningless. Because at 15th level, if your DM is not giving you magic items,
Yeah, we're casting spells
Wow.
or something that's going to get us a magic item, yeah.
So how about this Dreadlord?
I love the Dreadlord.
That's pretty cool.
At that
Shadows
point-
brought to life and attacking people.
At that point, I really feel like, dude, this is the anti-paladin.
Yeah.
This guy
is terrifying.
has come straight out of hell, and he is here to end you.
Yeah, because he's coming for you while you're running away. You're taking damage if you happen to be in that 30-foot radius because it's extended at past 18th level. And then just shadows come to life and start eating your soul.
Well, and it directly feeds right off of his dreadful aspect, Channel Divinity,
Yes.
so that you can just blatantly stack on some damage for just being scared in his presence.
For the joy.
It just kind of breaks your mind.
Yeah.
so here's your terrifying villain to just put out there and just be like, oh look, you can't get close to him. You're just too scared.
So overall, I like the villainous options. I would probably allow them in my game sparingly.
Yeah.
With the players.
It's got to be thematic. It's got to be limited, and it's got to be played accurate.
Nothing is. I don't see anything being particularly overpowerful. I mean, it might be cool to like, if you have a paladin that somehow has an imp familiar or a quasi familiar, then they could use their aura on it. But then again, it's just a little tiny demon, so it's not really that effective.
But it could
anyway.
be a +5 demon.
Well, that's true. He's better at eating
Be like
faces. than
unholy avenger attack with a
Yeah.
little claw.
Right. So you got a wizard paladin who gets that imp familiar.
or warlock,
Or
which would
warlock.
be very
Yeah,
thematic.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that build that I made, but going
A little
going
darker.
a little darker. You know the bargain he made, he was totally into it. Yeah. He went the other way.
So I mean, there isn't a whole lot for that here. I mean, there's some great tables before that to flesh out
tables
your
and charts
villain.
are amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
For that kickstart, I'm like, what am I gonna have this guy be?
Yeah, you know what's kind of nice about the Oathbreaker in a way too? Like reading a lot of this stuff, they're actually, you don't have to be the paladin that goes up and charges things with your sword and hit shit. Like a lot of this stuff is, okay, I guess some of it is extra damage, but there's a lot of passive abilities that are just like based off of charisma that if you wanted to dump strength and just be super castery, like say the warlock, like you just go all charisma, have strength be the minimum to be able to wear that full plate, and like you just go castery as hell with this because there's a bunch of abilities that you're just getting bonuses off of charisma. There's one that is a weapon attack. And like, all right, I'll do it if they happen to be like up next to me.
Well, yeah, you can play that Dark Lord Commander type.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the aura of hate. You're like, I use that sparingly.
Takes a knight background.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I've got evil henchmen.
evil retainers that still aren't very good and can't do anything.
Right.
Because they can't fight. The retainers.
Their best use is dying for you, so
Yeah.
you can animate their corpses.
Right. Dude, the retainers you get from the knight background, they're basically Nodviks.
Dude, I would just totally turn them into like zombies or skeletons.
Yeah, they just say
Be like, I need a backup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vampire
Well, no, just
touch-
as the GM, like you have undead retainers. Like,
Yeah.
Just that don't do anything. They're not very good. They're kind of broken. They were
But then again, that goes back to, well, how would that really interact with your Gabriel? Not well.
No.
Yeah, you can't go into town with a handful of undead following you around. People don't like that shit.
No, that doesn't. Yeah,
No.
it doesn't. I mean, that's like you go have them go lay down in the ditch, and you do your business, and then you bring your stuff for them to carry.
Hey Bob, go bury Sam and George for me.
And then hopping out.
Yeah, well, bury yourself over. You got that. Now do those TPS reports. They're all office workers. All of you are dead. Yeah.
Type him slower than Dave.
That'd be very hard. I mean, there are three of them. They could probably out-type you. Just saying.
Slower than Dave typing? A zombie. A typist.
Maybe.
Yeah. So that was fiendishly delicious.
I think so.
Yeah, I think we've got.
Yeah, I think this little subsection of the DMG gets a thumbs up from me.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see more.
So with that, you guys can find us at nerdarchy.com.
Click like, share, subscribe, comment.
Hang out with us on Facebook.
You can also check us out at the Nerdarchy subreddit.
Well,
So
stay
next
nerdy.
minute to last.
Stay nerdy.
Stay nerdy.
He was speaking in tongues.
In tongues, yeah.
Infernal.
I was overtaken.
That he reveres, but like the Oathbreaker or anti-paladin, like he is committed to evil, like this guy. Yeah.
All the villain scheme, there's a really good one I think could work for a character that doesn't consider himself evil but gets pushed in that direction. The passions are a good one. Prolong the life of a loved one, or proof worthy of another person's love. Raise or restore a dead loved one, or destroy rivals for another person's affection. I mean, the last one's really self-centered. And the other ones are in a way, but it's kind of that I'm doing this for this other person.
The greater good. I mean, like
That's my entire world. Yeah, like there's this importance that I
entirely evil games, and they never seem to go well. Maybe other DMs out there can, plan it and run it, better or what, but ours just seem to go bad.
Well, I mean, here's the problem with evil is it usually turns in on itself. Like thematically, in every piece of literature, that's what happens. So really, having an evil campaign that disintegrates, turns in on itself, is true to form.
It's
like
success.
really, it's a success, really. If
I-
people are at each other's throats.
I would agree. So if you've got a game of like say 4 to 6 players and 1 to 2 of them are slightly shady or really shady, you know, it's
Morally questionable.
it's very easy to slip one of these things in there. You know, we've seen paladins that say, oh well, it's an orc, therefore orcs are evil and I have to kill it. You know, and that's still a good character. It's just his viewpoint. Whether we would allow something like that today, I don't know. But back then, that was just, yep, that's the way he looked.
Well, I mean, it's creating a character with flaws. Yeah, he's lawful good, but he's a fucking bigot. You know, like, and that's a character with flaws. That's not necessarily a villain. Like these guys, like, well, I mean, death. It could just be a cleric that, like, that's just an aspect.
So we read through it. What do you guys think?
I would actually allow players to use these options if they wanted to. I mean, I don't know that I want a whole party of evil characters, but every once in a while you get that one oddball cleric that wants to have the death domain, and they're like, I'm not evil, I just like dead things.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, some religions don't deal with death that aren't actually evil. Like, technically, like most religions have death rights, and like somebody's got to specialize in that. So.
Well, we've
So he specialized in that specialization.
Yeah.
over the years, we've had a number of Hey guys, welcome to Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds. I'm Ted with my esteemed colleagues.
Ryan.
Dave.
Nate.
And today we're going to talk about the villainous options in the Dungeon Master's Guide.
Yeah.
We've got the Death Domain, and we've got the Oathbreaker.
Rank villainy, because dead things smell kind of rank. So